I had to realign that Starlink thingy. I just have it sitting outside in the on a tote. Let's see. What other options do I have on here? See if this thing's working this time. Y'all let me know if you're getting this. It can be a little glitchy. There you go. We got Austin Satazan on there. Yo, what's going on, man? All right. Looks like we're working again, finally. Man, I don't know. Like I said, I just threw it together. I got to order a mount to be able to mount it to the other side of the shop over here and get it to where there's no trees on the side where I've got it pointed, where it says to be pointed. There's trees over there and the shop's kind of in the way. So it's probably not the best, but it's better than any internet that I'm going to get out here otherwise. What's going on, guys? Everybody's back on here. Man, so what I wanted to show y'all was this LTR I bought yesterday. Because when I thought it was a good deal, it went south fast as soon as I started going through everything for the parts. Chassis-wise, it's not that bad. These plastics are a little bit faded and stuff. You know, we got all this. Everything's mounted. All the electrical's still there. So, I mean, even the rear grab bar is not all chewed up like normally you see these things. And so far it looks like these tires are holding air. But really the issue came once I started going through the engine parts. And right here is our big issue. This dude stored this stuff so cleanly, you know what I'm saying? So I noticed, hey, we are missing valve bucket. No big deal. And I specifically, when I went to go look at this thing, I told myself, make sure the cam caps are there, because you cannot buy these separately. They are line board, and if you don't know what that means, I'm not shoving that thing all the way on there, but line board means they put it on there and they machine it this way. So technically you could swap another one of these things on there, but your cam might not ride correctly and it can chew up your bearings, not chew up your bearings, chew up your journals. Well, I got to looking through all the parts and we only have one. The big dilemma is these heads are extremely expensive. So a new head is $900 something. That don't come with valves. Valves ain't cheap for these LTRs. You gotta have their higher end valves. These don't look that bad, but I mean, you're in this far, you really don't want to half-ass it. I don't know if this is even worth fixing at this point. Because we're looking at this head and valves. That's what was that? Gonna be like $1,300 just for the head work alone. So the dude claimed came with a new piston. I got the bottom end sitting over here. All it needed was the top end put on. Well, I get to looking at it, and these rings look used in my opinion. Not to mention, the two oil rings are sitting there where the second ring is supposed to go. And there's no oil rings down there. So we're missing rings. And I don't know if this Wiseco piston is supposed to have 3 sets of rings. Possibly. I don't know. I haven't really messed with LTRs that much. And it's got all that right there. I mean, don't get me wrong. This piston's probably fine. But we'll have to buy that. There's dirt all in the bottom end. Cam chain. It's nasty. That's going to be a whole problem in itself. And the crank bearings on this thing don't spin real nice and smooth. So it definitely need crank bearings. On top of all the other stuff it needs, the bars are bent. Everything else I had wrote down. Let's see. This is, I guess, parts to it. It's old wrist pin or something. It did come with a new cylinder works cylinder. Not some cheap China stuff. That's what I was kind of worried about. So no, it came with Athena. That's right. I just called it Cylinder Works because they do the same writing on the side of them. And I believe that's stock bore. I was able to find those Wiseco piston rings for this piston. What's that say? Oh, that's a 100 millimeter kit anyways. I believe so. Wait. Oh, that's further on down. I don't know if that's stock bore or not. But I was able to find 100 millimeter rings for this. Then I get the cams out that I made sure were good because I knew these weren't cheap. And I get that. I can't make it make sound, but see all that dirt that's in there? That bearing's probably not going to be usable. I could wash it out, but for a high revving engine like this, do you really want to run something like that? That's the real question. So the cams are basically trash. He said the engine locked up on him. And I guess this is our old piston. It doesn't look that bad, so I'm assuming it's something to do with the oil pump possibly failed and crankshaft bearings were part of the problem. But yeah, I don't know. And then no telling what else we might be missing. Looks like we had everything else for the most part. So I'm really not sure what I want to do with it because I did the math on everything and we're looking at dropping like probably $2,500 into this thing to fix it because just head, cams, valves, all that. Looking at it was like $1,700. It doesn't save any money to go with hot cams. They're like the same price as OEM. So I'm really not sure what I want to do with this thing. It's just, I don't want to dump enough money into it that it makes sense just to go buy one that runs and drives, or possibly just take and swap a two-stroke in there. Had crossed my mind. I'm not a real big fan of the RM two-strokes, so I thought about, hey, what if we swapped in like a CR or something like that? Find like a CR 250. Put that in there. I don't know. Kind of on the fence. Maybe I can find a whole parts bike that has a good head in it. But as far as like just buying the parts to fix this, it doesn't make sense financially. I mean, it's good. And then everything's in such bad. Look at that. Nasty. All this can be cleaned for the most part, but that's how it was ran. Where's that intake boot? Here it is. Look at all there. So likely what failed in this engine was them not running an air filter because there's definitely not an air filter on it. That's going to be my best guess. Y'all let me know what you think. Is that better for a two-stroke swap or fix it OEM? I'm going to have to find a parts bike to fix it OEM. There's a bunch of comments on here now. Off the streets and in the creeks, was that the one you told me about in Wichita Falls? Yes. It was on the other side of Wichita Falls, which is about 4 hours from me each way, so it was 8 hours of drive time. Bilkin said, looks clean. It has potential, definitely has potential. Brutal Parts is here. What's up? What's the good word, bro? The Bilkin said it's not a Honda. Yeah, it would be a lot cheaper to fix if it was a Honda. The 450R, you can get all this stuff a whole lot cheaper. Even the 400EX is a whole lot cheaper than that. Brutal Parts said the skirt is worn. It was new before they ran it. Yeah, he said that all this needed was the top end. It came with all the parts. When I was there buying it, I was like, man, you can't run it like this. This high revving engine, you can't get away with just flushing it with diesel like you can on these old Honda 300s and stuff like that. And he's like, man, I was just gonna sell it anyways, so I really don't care. Nah, I can't do that. Austin Sadazan said, if you were going to start from scratch, what would you start flipping? I would start with what I know. When I started, what I did is I didn't buy anything I didn't want to get stuck with. So when you get on Marketplace and you look at stuff and you're like, this is a cool unit, that's a good purchase. If you have to ride it for a month till it sells, then it's not hurting your feelings. Versus if you go out and buy something that's like a less desirable model, we'll just use, for example, the late 80s TRX 250, the four-wheeler, the one that, like, even running and driving, nice, it's an $800 quad at best. They're harder to sell. But something like a Honda Rancher 420, everybody wants them. They're very easy to sell. If I were me personally, I prefer Honda and Polaris. Polaris because it's easier to work on, easy to sell, and generally easy to acquire. And they all kind of always have the same issues, so you can kind of know what to expect when you go to look at one. Honda's kind of the same way. Parts are cheap for Hondas. You don't pay out the ass for parts. Where like something, my Can-Am, these Can-Ams, their parts are expensive for those things. So I would stick with stuff that you could pay attention to the parts prices, because you can, just like this LTR right here, you can go from, I paid $500 for that thing, which is a steal of a deal for an LTR. Anybody out there that wants an LTR would love to have one for $500. But the parts cost just to fix it and do it right, and not like just do it halfway, it adds up so fast that it's technically probably not going to be profitable to fix it. Alred said, glad you got it going again, Michael. Thanks, man. The Heck Razors. Yo, are you getting any snow yet? Yes. Yes, my truck was covered in snow. We've got most of it off. I got to do some stuff under the hood today, but I think that's a good solid, like 1.5 to 2 inches right there. That powdery white stuff, ice too. Most part, it's melted off now that it's been in the shop. Alred said, that's the fun about buying a teardown. How much did they lose? Nuts, bolts, fasteners, lines, etc. Yeah, and that doesn't even include getting into all that where hardware is missing, because all those plastics are held on with zip ties, and these bolts that I got, there's definitely not enough to put that whole thing back together. I mean, bolts I'm not stressing for body, but all that stuff adds up so fast. And there's probably more missing. I mean, I didn't account for having to replace like O-rings on stuff like this, or this I believe is called a swirl filter on these LTRs. I didn't account for like if that's bad. I know there's modifications because something to do with this a problematic point. Gaskets for the like exhaust, everything. Brutal Parts said that's a beautiful parts quad. I know, Brutal Parts, you'd love to just part that out. I'll bring it up there and swap you for a Ducati. Brittany said it's glitching again. I hope it's working again. That's the no filter mod, says Brutal Parts. Yeah, man. It's every one of these units I get in here that got like top end issues, some kind of motor failure, it always has to do with the air filter being gone. Just running no air filter, or running a significantly nasty one. Alred said it's starting to buffer again. Weather is messing with your satellite net. I know. Hopefully I can get that mounted up this week. Have some better internet. Lippy Games VR said, hi, what's going on? I'm your favorite YouTube. Man, that's so cool. I mean, it's still weird that people want to watch what I put out and like what I'm doing here in the shop. I mean, this is every day for me, but it kind of hits me different when somebody says something about it, or comes by the shop and they're like, man, this is so cool. And I'm like, it's my normal every day. So dude, that's really cool. Terry Miller said, hi, what's going on, bro? Austin Sadazan, at 15 years of age, how much money should I be making off flipping? You think is a good about for that age? Okay. That's hard to say. I mean, because you're not even old enough to drive. I drive pretty far to buy a lot of this stuff. Like I said, I drove 8 hours round trip to get that LTR. This was 3 hours or something round trip. That one was actually pretty close. I think it took me like 1.5 hours to go get that. This Ranger Crew that I have here, I think 7 hours to go get it. If I was 15 and flipping, I probably would focus on stuff that I could actually acquire without driving, with what I could do, because I've got a lot of fancy tools. So at this point, a lot of this stuff's easier for me, where long term, if I was just starting out, you can work with what you got. Buy what's right. Don't go out and overextend yourself, but definitely learn some stuff. I mean, at 15, you've got no bills, no nothing. So if you're making $100 a week, that's probably pretty good. In $200 a week, that's probably pretty good. So even if you just focused on one flip a month, because you're probably going to have somebody drive to go get it, you're going to have to learn a whole lot about what to buy and what not to buy. When you get there, what is clapped, what's not clapped. I've got to where I can spot it pretty well on Marketplace. I look at it and I know like that's junk. I'm not even messing with it. So that's give or take with that, you know. Maybe, I don't know, if I was in school, I'd probably be flipping candy. You can go buy like Sam's Club or something like that. You buy a big box of candy and sell it at school. I know a buddy of mine used to sell chips at school until he got in trouble for it. So that might get you in trouble. I don't know. Off the streets and in the creeks, are you going to start doing the shop vlogs again? The videos are what I consider the shop vlogs. I guess maybe you mean the like Will It Run lives? Yes, I want to do more of those. I probably would have done last week's video completely live if I'd had internet in here. I don't know, the lives are just more fun to me. Lippy Games said you inspired me. Dude, that's awesome. That's really cool. I'm glad if there's anything if I ever can do to help, you know, just reach out. Dude, I got a Facebook page. There's other people that reach out on there and I help them out. You know, if you got a question about something, does this look like a good deal? Is this jacked up? How do I fix this? If I can help you, man, I'll help. The Heck Razor said, you ever mess with bikes? Not a whole lot of them, just because where I live in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, these don't sell very well. So every time it's a sport quad or a dirt bike, you got to get into Dallas or Tulsa, and it's just not as easy to sell for me. Like about a year and a half ago, I did a KFX 250F. I think it was 09. Dude, that thing took me like a month to get it sold. During good season, cold outside, it's Kawasaki to sell to begin with. But still, I try to aim for what's going to sell pretty quickly. Alred said, if I ever get up your way, I will visit. Always enjoy your content and you keep it real. Thanks, man. Where are you out of? I mean, I'm always down in Texas. Austin Sadazan said, I have guys with trucks that transport for me. Yeah, man, if you can do that, then I'd stick with finding something. Pick a brand and stick to it and learn it. There's a reason I do a bunch of Polaris, because at this point I'm fast at it. It's easier to look at and figure out what's wrong versus like I pick up a Suzuki and I don't know exactly everything I'm looking at. I look at one of these Rangers and I know like, okay, a seat's $200. This is a gauge is $200 to $300. A tailgate's gonna cost $300. Tires are this much, you know, just so on and so forth. So that's what I'd stick with. Find something that works for you. Brutal Parts said Austin Sadozan, go-karts and mini bikes could be a good thing to flip around your age. Tools and engines are pretty available through Harbor Freight and Amazon. Yes, that's a very good point. Go-karts and mini bikes, especially since you can market that within your community, within the school. So like if you're at school and you know you got a buddy who wants to buy a mini bike, there you go. You already got a buyer for it. Downside of that, all your homies are probably broke. Harbor Freight tools, they're fantastic. They're starting to be what I'm using on everything in here. It's good quality stuff. If I break it, I can take it right back to Harbor Freight, swap it out. So you can buy yourself, I think, this is a mess here, but like this set right here is like $10. This set right here is like $10 per set. Just buy them as you go, and you can kind of stack up and get to the nicer stuff. Their impacts, I was looking at them last night because I think I'm going to replace this one with a Hercules one. They're pretty cheap. I mean, you can buy all that stuff up there at Harbor Freight pretty cheap. And it's good quality stuff, easy warranty. You just take it up there and you swap it out. John said, like your content, been looking for my first flip. Thanks for the videos. Hey man, just make sure that's a good one. Make sure that first flip doesn't burn you, because that can turn you off to them. I know my first flip was I had spent a lot of time looking on Marketplace, Craigslist at the time. That was pre-Marketplace. I'd spent a lot of time looking for a new bike. I was looking at getting a 636, which were made from like 03. They had 03, 04, and then 05, 06, and I specifically wanted an 05, 06. And I started looking around and I was like, man, that's cheap for that bike, you know? That's why I spent a lot of time. Every morning I would sit on Craigslist for an hour before work. And I'd be like, that's cheap for that, that's cheap for that. And then one day I run across, it was a, I want to say it was a 95, might have been 96, 97, 98, I don't know. Kawasaki Zephyr 70 is a stupid little, they're ugly. But I bought it for $100, clean title, had a rod knock. I thought I could fix the rod knock. Keep in mind, I had zero mechanical skills at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I could fix the rod knock. And I Googled around, I was like, hey, you can put heavier weight oil in there to stop the rod knock. So that's what I do. I put heavier weight oil in it. It does not stop the rod knock. It's a knocking rod. And I ended up throwing it on Marketplace, cleaned it up. It was running now, though. When I bought it, it wasn't. And guy hits me up, says, hey, if you bring it to me, I'll give you $500. So I take it over there. $500 later, it was like an hour drive, lost like $50 in fuel, if that, probably 20. And it's just kind of gone from there. And just, that's my best thing to say is if you're flipping and you're looking online constantly, you get to know prices for stuff instead of just having to guess. Like you get online and it's like, oh, here's this 420 for 3,200. Let's see if we can make some money on it. Well, that's not a very good buy because you might only be able to get 35 out of it, and that's a $300 profit minus fuel costs. It's not worth it. But if you spend a lot of time online and you're running across 420s constantly, and you finally see one and you're like $1,000, that's a decent deal, and you can snatch it up because you got to be fast. If you really want to get the good stuff, you got to be fast. Every one of these that I have in here, I found it within minutes of listing. The LTR, I think, was the longest one I've had in a while. That one had been online for 18 minutes. This Ranger back here had been online for like 8 minutes. That was off market. The Crew right here had been online like 3 or 4 minutes. So you got to be fast if you really want to get in there with, because there's a lot of other people out there doing it. The Heck Razors, what mic do you use? I just started making moto content and need a good mic setup. So mine it's got this little thing right here. It came with a 2-pack, and it's, Hollyland, because it's got an attachment that goes in the bottom of my phone. Hollyland Lark M2, maybe? Let me see if the package says it on it. Comes in a little package like this, opens up. It's got, that's to use for a regular camera. That one's broke, I don't know why I keep it. But yeah, there it is. The model is Lark, L-A-R-K M2. So far, it's been a good mic. I think I've had it for a little over a year. I broke one of them. I've lost all my magnets. This one's probably gonna be gone soon. I'm gonna have to replace it. I'll buy it again. I bought it off Amazon. I think it was $160, but I bought the kit to be able to have 2 inputs on my phone, which is unnecessary. At the time, I had 2 different iPhones. One had the old school original iPhone thing, and then now it's got the USB-C. So you can save some money like that. Off the Streets and in the Creek said, what was the Ranger 800 you got on the trailer with Brian? I seen it on your Facebook page. I bought that thing for parts, man. Bought that thing for parts, and it ain't got nothing I need. Nothing. Every part that I need, it's either gone, destroyed, or won't work, because it is a 14, and the other one I have in here I need parts for is an 11, so none of the stuff will work, or it's broken on that one. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was gonna pull the engine off of that thing and just throw it on Marketplace, because it's got the cab on it, but it's not the complete cab. So the cab's there, but there's no front glass, there's no back glass, and the doors are gone. Hit me up if you're interested in it, and we can make it happen. Alred said, I'm in Gulfport, Mississippi. You ever get near me, let me know, I'll buy the meal. Yeah, man, I was, oh, that's today. I'm bidding on something at auction that's over in Mississippi. I think it was a Ranger 400. So we'll see. I don't know how far that is. I just remember it was Mississippi. It was a 9-hour drive from here. All right. Hunter the Wolf Any. Hey, man, dig what you're doing. If there's a good number of the same machine on Marketplace, is that a good sign to grab one to flip or a bad sign? Talking about the market. Okay, so the market's weird right now, and I even tried expanding my my circle on Marketplace to 500 miles. I haven't been seeing a whole lot of anything. Certain models are junk, so I go off of this. If there are a bunch of a certain model on Marketplace, all of them having the same problem, it's probably a problematic model. So that's why I don't buy any Ranger 900s, because if you get on Marketplace, there's no shortage of Polaris, Ranger, or Razor 900s with blown motors. Hondas are kind of common for bad diffs. Now that there's Chinese diffs out there, people are actually replacing them. I don't know if I'd say that's a bad sign or a good sign. If there is a whole lot of, I don't know, I just keep veering off on that one. Like I avoid Arctic Cat, even if there's a bunch of them on there. I really don't like Arctic Cats. If there was a bunch of something, we'll say if there was 20 of these Honda Rancher 420s, I'm just using this thing for an example because it's the first thing I see. If there were 20 of those on there and all of them are priced about the same, $3,000 to $3,500, the only way you're probably going to make that sale is one of two ways. Either A, you've got a better price than them, or B, you've got a nicer bike than them. So you're going to need to have a much cleaner Honda. I noticed there's a lot of snorkeled 420s that sit on Marketplace for a while. So I would say that's maybe a bad flip. I don't know. That's kind of a loaded question. I mean, it just really depends on the model, because certain things, they'll sit on Marketplace. There's a whole lot of Rangers on Marketplace. And then there's the whole, your algorithm thing. So Marketplace algorithm shows me older Rangers. I'll search online. I'll search Polaris Ranger. I'll see these. I'll see these. I'll see this body style right here. But what it doesn't show me are newer 1000s. It doesn't show me North Stars. It doesn't show me, what are the other ones? Like Defenders. It'll show me some Can-Ams, but it doesn't show me like the new Defenders, full cab, HVAC units. So it could also be your algorithm showing, what do you mean? Like, is there something you're seeing on there that you're thinking about buying? John said, more of a hobby with daughter to work on some ATVs to learn without taking ours apart. Yeah, it's a good way to learn. If you buy a cheap $200 quad and you mess it up, that's a lot easier learning experience than buying more of an expensive one. Richard Cunningham said, hi, what's going on, man? Flipping and Farming said, hi, what's going on, man? And Peter, hi, what's going on, man? Got a lot of stuff going on. I need to strip some parts off of this thing here. This one's nasty. Check out this green on the front of it. That's been here a minute. Look. Oh, it was sitting up yesterday. I guess I finally worked that hinge in now. Junk. I don't know if anyone knows anything about those windshield restoration. I need to learn it because I had to take the windshield off a unit and I wish I wouldn't have, because it was a nice windshield. What you guys working on? I noticed a lot of y'all mentioned flipping stuff. Do y'all have any units in the shop now that you're flipping? Or any leads on an LTR? I need one. If y'all swap this, would you stick with a Suzuki 2-stroke engine in it? There was a lot of comments and now there aren't any. I wonder if I lost connectivity again. Flippy Games said, I wish. Hey, you gotta look. You just gotta look. I mean, I've bought stuff as cheap as $100. Last year, I think I got 4? I think I got like 7 units for free, and one of those being a Rhino 660. If I was young, we'll say under 18, and I wanted to try to get a hold of something like that, I might post in my local groups, put something along the lines of, "Hi, I'm Michael, looking to get into mechanics. Does anybody have a free, maybe a mower, go-kart, mini bike, ATV, dirt bike that is junk that I could work on, that I could haul off for free so that I have something to wrench on?" And you could potentially get something for free like that. I've seen posts like that. There's people out there who help the young folks. Brutal Parts said there's an acetone restoration kit. It uses fumes to polish it out. I'll have to Google for that. Alrad said, I used Ceramibrite headlight kit. Worked great. Not sure if it would work on the plastic windshield. See, I tried buying a buffer and some, what's that called? Plast-X or something like that. And tried that on there. But honestly, I think the only thing that was going to, not this windshield, that one's trash. But the other one, the only thing, I felt like the only thing that'd save it is wet sanding it. Terry Miller 2164 said, I'm still working on my 05 Ranger 500. Yeah, I like those ones. That body style. Is it fuel injected or carbureted? No, that year. I think it was 06 they went to fuel, that you could get fuel injection. OG Beastmaster said, can I buy some and bring them to you for repair? Oh, sorry, bro. I don't do custom repairs. I tried a few of them. I really don't like it. I don't like having to communicate with somebody else with what needs to get done. I like kind of just doing my own thing. Plus, I'm on my own time in here. I can do whatever I want. Hunt the Wolf Any. I live in upstate New York, and it's all older 4x4 work hunting machines. See all sorts of brands, but a lot of just beat up Polaris. Polaris is, yeah, I don't think it's anything bad against Polaris. You know, I know a lot of people like to hate on them. I would stay away from the chain drive ones. Those ones, at least here, they're so hard to sell. No one wants them. So yeah, if there's a bunch of those sitting on Marketplace and that's what you're looking at, yeah, that is bad. Like the 05 and up, those ones got so much easier to work on. They're always beat up, but they always need the same thing. As long as you can get, like, if it's got good plastics, make sure it's got the side panels, because if it doesn't have the side panels, those are like $120 a piece or something crazy. They're not getting any cheaper. And then aside from that, oftentimes it's just all bearings and bushings, which is easy to do, but just time consuming. Axles, those seem to always be bad, and bearings. Aside from that, you end up like the carbureted ones. If you buy a Polaris and there's carb on it, good luck, because I don't know what it is with those Polarises and Chinese carbs, but they're not very good. Brutal Parts said, I need to swap this Ranger 570 engine. Let me know if you come across one. If you're talking about that 570 that you flew, that killer motor will not fit in a Ranger. Brian did that, and from personal experience, when I saw that, it will fit, it will run, it will go, but it is not. It's not. You can't even shut the bed. Don't. You gotta swap the cases. I know the cases are different, but the cylinder and head are all the same. So, if you found one that needed that, I'll let you know next time I come across a Ranger 570 though. OG Beastmaster 33 said, how long does it normally take you to repair four-wheelers? It depends on what's wrong with it, and it depends on parts. So a lot of times I'll buy something, you can kind of go once over it and order everything that's needed. And then once you get it running, you find out it's got something else wrong with it, so you got to order that too. And then it depends on shipping times. Over the last few weeks, shipping times are getting better now. But over the last few weeks, it was taking like 2 weeks to get something in. And then now we're back to, I can order something on Amazon and have it in 2 days. Some of the Amazon parts are junk though. You just kind of got to know what's what. So like, and then I have a lot of parts on hand for some of this stuff. So like the Hondas, they're pretty quick to get done. This LTR, if I were to buy all the parts, this would probably take me 2 days doing the motor and putting it all back together. So it just depends on what it is. These Rangers I'm much faster at. The Razors I'm pretty quick at. It really depends on what's wrong with the Hondas. OG Beastmaster 33 said, do you prefer Honda or Polaris to repair? I prefer Polaris. These are easier to work on. I don't care what anybody says. These are the easiest things to work on until you get into these new ones with stuff like the North Stars where it's got like a 3-cylinder car engine in it. That does not look like fun. Hunt the Wolf NE said, I picked up an '01 Wolverine 350 for $300. Rebuilt the carb, fixed some wires, headlights, stripped the spray paint, added a plow. Great running machine. I love the Wolverines. I'm going to buy one. I'm on the hunt for one, but I'm looking for, I think it's '03 to '06. Maybe it's '03 to '07. But the new body style, it looks more like a YFZ. I love those. But they're so hard to find not clapped out, like, because you cannot get a replacement plastic set for them. So if it's missing the hood, you're pretty much SOL. You can't get them. I mean, deep down, it's only either a Brune 450 or a Brune 350. So they came in the 350 and the 400. I looked at all the cross references. The only difference internally is they have a different transmission inside of them. Maybe different clutching. I didn't look at that, but the clutches themselves are the same. Might be different weights. I've always loved those, but it's hard to find one that doesn't have broken footwells, a broken seat, and broken plastics. You can't get any of those parts. You can get a bumper or the rear grab bar, and they're just expensive. It's $250 for a front bumper for that thing, if you can find a used one. John said, do you have any go-to parts places or just Amazon, eBay? So it just depends on what I need. I get a lot of stuff from Brutal Parts. I get a lot of stuff from eBay. I like Rocky Mountain a lot. Rocky Mountain, if I'm buying new OEM, it's going Rocky Mountain. I buy the Tusk Gloss Coat, the spray. It's cheaper to buy that versus SC1. So I buy that on Rocky Mountain. eBay, it just depends on what it is, and it depends on time frame. If I'm ordering something and I know I'm already looking at a week out, I order from eBay versus Amazon because eBay's cheaper. You get the same product, but less. So like these seats, I think they're $250 on Amazon. And on eBay, you can get them for $179.99 before tax. Tires I buy from Sunif. Those ones right there. So for the most part, it just depends. Depends on what it is I'm ordering. Partzilla is too slow on shipping. Same with motorsport.com. So it used parts. If Brutal Parts has it, I use them over at brutalparts.com. Otherwise, I'll go eBay trying to find it used. I'll usually search by part number. So really it comes down to the part type. Brutal Parts, hey, you're right there. We ship parts fast, have over 16,000 on our shelves ready to go. Yeah, that's no joke. They all do ship fast. I don't have to worry about getting it in time because you get it out right out the door. One of the things I hate about some of these sellers on eBay is like you'll buy something, we'll say Sunday night. What was that I bought for my truck? Oh, I bought the shifter column. Mine just had the little tip of the button broke off, and I didn't like that. So I wanted to swap it out for a new used OEM one that looked good. I buy it from this company out of Florida. It was a nice looking one. And I bought it like on a Sunday. They didn't ship it till like the next week on Wednesday. And then I got it quickly, but I mean, that's annoying. Like when you buy something, that's probably the worst I've had it, but like when you buy something for some of these Chinese sellers on eBay, they'll mark it as shipped and then it won't actually leave for 3 days. So I'm pretty sure it's actually coming from China. I don't know, that stuff drives me nuts. So yes, Brutal Parts does definitely have fast shipping times. They get that stuff out the door. Any good seller is going to have that stuff out the door as fast as possible, you know, within reason. Like if, you know, it's Saturday, so nobody's shipping anything out today. But if it's Monday and you order the part, you kind of expect it to be shipped out at least by a minimum on Tuesday. OG Beastmaster 33, would you buy Polaris 400 that doesn't run to repair? That depends on the model. Now, are you talking old school two-stroke scrambler 400? Maybe, if it's a nice one. I try not to do the old school Polarises, but the 2-stroke 400 scramblers, I might. If it's an old school one where they have the steel racks, it's a 4-wheel drive, chain drive and all that, no. If it is the, what are they started those 03, 02 maybe, you could get a 400, maybe it was 04. Anyway, you could get the 04, it would be a 4-stroke 400, I buy those. I try to stay away from like the rounded body styles now, and try to stick with like the 05 and up, where it's kind of got like squared edges on it. John said, Brutal Parts have looked, but I'm a CF Moto person and you have very little for them. But we will keep you in mind for when we grab a flipper. I just sent a CF Moto to auction. I bought that thing. Dude was like, hey, it needs a starter. I go over there to look at it, and lo and behold, this thing didn't have any oil in it. It was locked smooth up. He tried to say it just needed a starter, but once I started talking to him, he's like, yeah, they were riding around the yard and it died and it won't start back up. You could turn it over, so when you try to start it, you could hear the starter going, eh, eh, eh. That noise that they make, and it's not like the starter's locked up. It's the gears go to try to move and they seize. It's 2022 CF Moto 400 has destroyed. Saved a guy, said, bought a 2011 Polaris Sportsman 500 that runs great, but after getting it home, I found the previous owner had overfilled it by a quart of oil. I changed the oil. Should I be worried? What that probably is because that one should still have the reservoir on there. So if somebody buys the oil change kit, most people don't know this. There is a, dang, I don't have one on any of these in here, but there's a drain pan on that reservoir, and it's like a big triangle thing. That will drain out most of the oil. But there's another drain pan, another drain bolt on the bottom of the engine that most people don't drain. And if you don't drain that, and they bought the oil change kit, because these oil change kits come specific to this. It'll come here. I bought a whole bunch of these things. Looks like this box got wet. This comes with exactly the amount that is required. Like these Can-Am ones, they come with, come here, like exact amount required. So it comes with this little bitty jug. So you just essentially have to dump exactly that in there. And Polaris makes the same. That could probably be why it had that, why it was overfilled. Just keep in mind, if you drain it from the engine, you're pinch off. There's one hose at the top. You're supposed to pinch it. It's for 10 seconds, I believe, at first startup to allow the dry sump to work its way in, or wet sump, whatever it's called. I wouldn't be worried about it at all. Those 500s are tanks of a unit. Me personally would compare it to the Honda 300. The 500 is one of the most reliable engines that Polaris has made. And it's the easiest one to work on. OG Beastmaster said it's a 99 2000. Scrambler or Sportsman? If it's a Scrambler, yeah. If it's a Sportsman, that's going to be hard to flip. Those ones, the chain drive, 4-wheel drives, they're so hard to sell. The last one I had, I sent to auction. They let it sit there for an hour idling. When I got it back, because it didn't sell, when I got it back, it ran so poorly. I think I rode that thing for a total of like 5 minutes outside the shop. Blew it up completely because you can't leave them idling. They're old and a lot of people aren't wanting them, but the Scramblers do still have a following for them. And the difference between a Scrambler, the 4x4 utility version is racks basically in the plastics. Brutal Parts said we have accounts where we can order CF Moto parts, but their part numbers are not accurate. Something to be aware of. Oh, I didn't know that. OG Beastmaster said, I know you repair 300 to 500. Do you stay away from 800 to 1,000 or just haven't found any? I like the 800s. The 800 is such an easy engine. That and this is a 700, but it's pretty much the same thing. The first year of the 800, the 2010 Ranger 800, has the exact same motor as the Sportsman 800. But when they switch to 11, they have different crankcases. The 1000s, I can't find any in a good price range to be worth fixing. The 800s, the last Sportsman 800 I bought, it needed a CDI or ECU, and they aren't available. You can't get them. They're just 100% not available. You can find them used from time to time, but they're $500. That's a no-go. The 700 and the 600, if you had all the motors spread out in pieces, you couldn't hardly tell the difference. They're so similar. I mean, there's differences, but they look so similar. It's kind of the same thing. Great engines, great platform. I don't mess with the 300s because the Hawkeye 300 Polaris is actually a Chinese unit. Last time I bought one of those, it needed a carb clean, and it's been a long time. We're talking 10 years or more. I had to strip all the plastics off of that thing, and they're not like these other Polarises where it takes off pretty easy. It sucks to get to. Brutal Parts said people race the two-stroke Scrambler 400s. I didn't know anybody used to do that. I didn't know they still, I didn't know anyone still raced those. Hammerback 10 million said, dragging my Sportsman behind my Corolla in a blizzard at the moment. Enjoy the lives, so thank you. Well, I hope you're paying attention to where you're going and not as much the live, because I'd hate for you to total your quad like that. But that's pretty impressive that you're towing a Sportsman with a Corolla. I assumed it would have been the other way around. A Sportsman will pull that Corolla up the hill. We don't see many of those cars out here. I live in the country. It's mostly trucks. Dirt Biker said, yo, what's going on, man? Lippy Games VR said, what do you think about the two-toe dirt bike? I have never heard of that. I don't mess with the off-brand stuff. If I end up with an off-brand unit that comes with something, yeah, I might check it out. But I won't go out and buy the Chinese brands. The parts are cheap, and I've met a lot of people that swear by it, saying, you know, you make way more money doing Chinese bikes because the parts are so cheap. If you think about, like, one dude explained it to me this way. He goes, I'll go out and buy 3 or 4 bikes from somebody. One of them may only end up as a parts bike, but that one ends up fixing 6, 7 other bikes, and then I get it back going. So, I don't know. Some people like them, some people don't. I guess that's just your preference. I can't Google right now to look. Braxton Dixon said, plan on doing an OBS Recon 250. Dude, I'm telling you, I want to do an OBS Recon. I want to do a competition. I'm trying to find some other people to do it with me, to see how much of a beating you could give one of these Recons. Like, take them out to ride and try to kill it. Try to break that unit. Because, man, those OBS Recons are some of the, like, they're so solid. Like, as long as you don't, to my knowledge, as long as you don't wrap it all the way up and bang it off the rev limiter for too long and float a valve, or completely grenade your rear end because your seals are shot and you're riding it through water, they last forever. I love the OBS Recons. They're just kind of getting harder to find now that aren't completely ragged out. There was one that popped up the other day. I tried to buy it, but I wasn't fast enough. At this time of year, everything that's popping up, you gotta be super fast. Lippy Games VR said electric dirt bike. Oh, see, I'm not a real big fan of the electric stuff either. I've had a few of those, like, electric bike companies try to sponsor the channel, and I've been debating on doing one just to give it a shot. I just don't know how I'd integrate it. I'm not gonna make a whole video on it, like a review video. I don't want to be a sellout or nothing, but, like, if I could integrate it in one of these, like, you know, these fellas sent me an electric dirt bike. Let's see what it'll do. I'll give it a shot. Saved a guy. When I bought the oil change kit for my Polaris, the oil filter came in with some noticeable dents. Should I use it anyways? That depends on those dents. I mean, like, depends on the dent. If it's major, I probably wouldn't, but I got a bunch of these. Let's see. How hard is it to dent one of these things? I got enough of these, so if I waste it. Yeah, it doesn't dent real easy. I thought maybe I could just squeeze it and put a hole in the metal or dent the metal, but no. I don't know. I guess it depends on how bad the dents are. I've ran a bunch of the Fram filters on them. The PH6017A, I think it is. Maybe. You can get them at Walmart. They're like $6. For now, these Polarises are going to be getting a whole lot of Kawasaki filters because I just found out that the Mule filters that are in all of those, or the Kawasaki OEM filters that are in all those boxes, will fit these Polarises. So everything's getting a Kawasaki filter and Kawasaki oil for a while. Hunt the Wolf Innie said, Brutal, need a shift lever for a 2001 Yamaha Wolverine 350. If he doesn't have that, you might be able to pull the same shift lever off. What was that? The Big Bear 350 is because that one still has the shift lever down there by the foot, right? Terry Miller 2164 said, I use a John Deere XUV at work pulling a stick wagon and gross. I don't have much experience with those XUVs, but I tell you what those sell for at auction is ridiculous. Lippy Games said, I can't have a gas. Oh yeah, you know, I've never thought about that. Like, I guess if you lived in the city, you could really get by with a whole lot more with having an electric bike out there. I don't know. You might have good luck with them. Electric out here, I mean, I can ride wherever I want to. I can ride to the gas station. Also, John Tucker Geezy. Hey, dude, what's going on, bro? Hunt the Wolf said, yeah. Those Wolverines, some of those parts for them Wolverines are hard to get a hold of. I know I bought one of that first gen Wolverine right before we sold out of our parts business, and it had some cool parts on it, if I remember right. There was a custom steering damper. It took me forever to find out, like, because the brand had been discontinued long before. Also, Tucker Geezy said, I snapped a bolt off in my Honda Recon engine this morning. Man, I hope that's not your flywheel bolt. Because, man, those things, they're in there. And I've seen a few of those snapped off. Machining it out, I don't know, drilling it and tapping it. I don't know if I'd be that confident on a crankshaft bolt or something. He said just how it goes, though. Yeah, sometimes that's how it goes. That was something else I didn't think about this LTR engine. I wouldn't be surprised if the thing has bolts snapped off in it. Also, Tucker Geezy said it's a head bolt. Is it broke flush with the case? Because if it's broke flush with the case, you could potentially weld a nut on top. I know for me, when I used to do parts and we would need to remove those bolts to be able to put them in for shipping purposes, because if you ship one of those and it's got 8 inches of bolt on there, it makes it harder to ship. You got to make sure it doesn't poke out. I preferred to ship them like this right here where they're just off. What I would do is I would put 2 nuts on it and tighten them, and then I would heat it up real hot so that I could hit it with an impact and it just flush with the block. Yeah, you're probably gonna have to weld that. Welding's probably your only good solution because trying to drill and tap that hard bolt, not drill and use a reverse bit on that bolt, it's gonna be fun. And not in a fun kind of way, like today was a bad day kind of day. But a welder would save it, because by the time you weld that nut on there and it's hot, you let it dry or let the heat, the metal sit in, and then I don't know what it's called. I'm not a professional welder. You hit that with an impact, boom, comes right out. And then those bolts, I want to say they're like $16 a piece from a Honda. They're not too bad. It's not an expensive repair versus like some of this stuff. I broke a bolt off in something and it costs a lot of money. Every time I break something on my truck, it costs a lot of money. That's what it's in here for today. I got a few things I need to replace on it. I don't know if any of y'all know that much about 7.3s. but I broke one of these nipples off. I've been driving it like that too. But it's to the green one that goes over to the, what's it called? The intake. The green hose goes over to the intake. And I gotta fix this dang plug. I broke that too. It's old. When I do stuff, it breaks. Also, Tucker Geezy said on Partzilla, they're not even $3. Yeah, it's not bad then. And it's a cheap bolt. Make sure you get a new nut. Trying to remember, there was something else I wanted to do on this live, and I cannot remember for the life of me. Look at that. It's a bent valve too. Did not catch that before. It's one bent valve on the intake side. Don't look bent on that side. Fun stuff right there. It's always nice when you start finding other stuff. Alright, said first sign of old timers. Yeah. Also, Tucker Geezy said I was doing a YouTube live when I did it too. I know sometimes when I'm doing like lives, like you get carried away looking at the screen or something, talking to people, and just snap something off. OG Beastmaster 33 said I remember you were going to do a giveaway. That's a good idea. I could do a giveaway. I got some stickers. Where are they at? Let's see. Do I have one on here? Where's it at? I know I got some somewhere around here. Somewhere. Where's it at? I know I stuck one to one of my toolboxes. Maybe I did. I don't know. I got some waiting for parts stickers. And I got a whole stack of some Brutal Part stickers to go with it. Let's see, how could I do this? Because last time I did it on the computer, and I don't really know how to do that from here. I'm on my. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna find a pen, and I'm gonna get a piece of paper, and I'm gonna write a number down on it. Golly, if I could do any of that. Like, I don't see any paper anywhere. Oh yeah, I got paper in my truck. Let's see. Look at this thing. It's clean for a 350,000 mile, whatchamacallit, 7.3. Yep, that'll work. So I'm gonna write a number down on this piece of paper. Whoever gets closest to it, you can win some. I'll send you 2 of the waiting for parts stickers I got. And what we got here? 4 Brutal Parts stickers. So I'm gonna write this number down. Between 1 and 30. Whoever's closest to it wins. So, shit. I flipped it over right there. Can't see it. Get some Brutal Parts stickers. The other stickers are somewhere in my office then. And I'll let a few of y'all chime in with the number. Whoever gets it. Shit, one of y'all already got it. Well, never mind. Also, Tucker Geezy, you got it, man. You know what? Let's do another one. I got more Brutal Parts stickers. I'm gonna write another number down, and y'all can guess again. Except for also Tucker Geezy. You can't win twice. All right. Y'all can go again. We're going to go off of the anything past the also Tucker Geezy's dang comment. Bro, you got to guess once. You can't guess all the times. You're guessing all the numbers. Dustin Heflin said, what about a 2016 Sportsman 450 HO? From my understanding is 1 year with the 570 engine just detuned by ECM, was told ECM from Ranger 570 would work and basically make it the 570. Is it worth the swap? Okay, so that is true, but I'm not sure on your year. I thought it was 14 and 15. It might be 15 and 16, but yes, that is the case. I don't know that a Ranger 570 ECU is going to work because all of those ECUs are the same. All of them will work, but they have different tuning within them. So for here, this is, see it says programmed Ranger 800. You're going to want to make sure you get one that's programmed. Probably, I would want to stay with the same year model, 570. But yeah, that would it be worth it? Oh, of course, yes. The new Outlanders are like that too. You go out and buy a brand new 850 Outlander right now. All you got to do is throw a tune on it. Bam, you got a 1K because it comes with a 1000 engine in it. My 2011 Sportsman 500 missing the left and right side plastic panels. Should I spend the 200 for them or just leave it? I guess that depends on you. I mean, for me, if I was just riding it and didn't really care, I'd just leave it. I would track down a parts bike and buy a whole parts bike for 150 bucks, pull those and then resell the parts bike too. So kind of two different things. Brutal Parts said you'll have to get the ECM reflashed and the throttle body is DBW, so I don't know what that means. So you'll have to swap it. Huh. I didn't know that. I thought you could just swap it. All right, we got a bunch of numbers. Brutal Parts, that's 6, 7. Let's see. Lippy Games, man, you guessed every number on there. All right, let me see how many of these Brutal Parts stickers I have left. I got a lot of stack. It's my toolbox covered in them now. All right, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got enough for 2. So I don't know. I feel like I should be fair with this, but like, so who? I'm gonna send you one. I'm gonna send you some Lippy Games since you was so tenacious. I don't know. Whatever the word I'm looking for. And then who was closer to 26 after that? Alred had 9, Stephen Gills had 22, Hunt the Wolf 11, 5Y 54 had 21, Saved a Guy said 67. Man, you passed 30 by a lot, man. OG Beastmaster had 8. So that looks like, where are you at? Stephen Gills. Stephen Gills, also Tucker Geezy and Lippy Games. Y'all reach out to me through Facebook, the ATV Hustle Facebook page, and send me a message with your address. And I'll get these sent out on Monday. We got some 4 Brutal Parts stickers and 2 of the waiting for parts stickers I have. I'm gonna have to dig them out of my office. Dustin Heflin, 2145. I thought the 570 Ranger and the Ace 570 were drive-by-wire instead of cable. I don't remember. I'm not sure. Nathan Spate say it snowed there. Yes, it has definitely snowed there. OG Beastmaster said they cheated. I don't know how they cheated. I didn't show the number. Yeah, I didn't show the number. Also, Tucker Geezy said, I don't have Facebook. I mean, if you're comfortable with putting your address on here, I can just write it down. I don't know how else to do it. I don't use Instagram. I got TikTok, the ATV Hustle TikTok. You got TikTok? I don't get on there much, but I got it. Email. Oh, yeah. Michael, Michael, at ibuyjunkatvs.com. I need some drink, man. It's starting to get cold in the shop. I ain't turned the heater on now for almost an hour. It's a two-handed thing. The more I sit here and look at these parts, the more worse they get. Why do I have two? I bet you the bolts I got in here are all sorts of stuff. This is, it looks like a Timberwolf bear tracker or something like that. Cam chain tensioner? My cam chain tensioner is also in here. I don't know if this thing should be even worth fixing. We're gonna try to track down a parts bike. This is definitely not gonna make it to next weekend's video, that's for sure. That's too much. All right, I got Stephen Gills. I'm surprised it shows me the messages come across here. Did I miss any comments on here? There was a bunch of them. Dustin said, is it worth the swap? I'd rather have the 570 power than the 450 power. The 450, I mean, it's got it's what it needs, but having a little bit more, that 570, be worth it. Jump ascended. Oh wait, I missed a couple. Saved a guy here in West Virginia. Even the part out sportsmans are going for over 1,000. I don't know. That's one thing I've been wanting to do in the future is come to a different area of the country and show that you can find these bikes cheaper. Sometimes you got to really want it to get that stuff. You got to be on marketplace looking because cheap stuff sells quick. OG Beastmaster 33 said, what you fixing on today? I fixed the internet in the shop. It's snowing outside, so I can't go buy anything. So I'm kind of like at a standstill, waiting on parts for this Ranger. This one's probably, that crew's probably sold. I had to replace some stuff on my truck. These little lights right there don't work. I replaced something up under the hood. Little turbo thingy. 2 hands. Dang. I'm gonna put y'all in my pocket, hold on. Takes 2 hands to pop the hood on this thing. I gotta replace this little actuator right there. I gotta order some more connectors and stuff, and then there's another connector that's down in there. So it's kind of like while I got time, knock out some stuff on the F-250 while I'm here. Order some more parts and spend too much money, because I had to replace those lines right there. And I had to replace my H-pop lines. I did the stainless steel ones. And I broke one of the connectors down there. I broke that piece right there. This truck's old. It's a 2001, so stuff's brittle, and it breaks pretty easy. That and I had to try to bend my exhaust tip down so I could fit this tip in there. I bought a big old AFE tip. Oh, don't drop it. Got a heck of a deal on this on eBay. That's like $200 retail or something like that. A stainless steel AFE brand. Dude had it listed as it was 3.5 to 6 inch, but they don't make 3.5 inch diesel pipes. And he said he had it on his Cummins, or he bought it for his Cummins. So I got a deal on that. I think it was like $24 with shipping. I mean, for that tip, they're normally a couple $100. And Just swap out a bunch of little LED bulbs. More or less just screwing around, getting some stuff done that needs to get done in the shop, because during the week it gets kind of hectic, especially dealing with these units. When I'm out buying stuff constantly, like I said, Sunday night, I didn't get home until 11 o'clock at night because I went out to pick up that mule, 610, with the trailer for $850. Monday night, what did I buy on Monday night? Oh, Monday we went driving around. I went with a buddy of mine. He likes to drive around and go knock on doors when you see units outside somebody's yard. I had bought a Ranger that morning that was from a lead. Got that Ranger for $200. It's a parts bike, completely clapped out, but $200. And just as soon as we were about tired, we drove around for a few hours. Swing by this dude's house, and he had a what is that? A Pioneer? I think he calls it a P5. It was a 17. My buddy needed a cage because he flipped his down a hill. Lo and behold, get this severely clapped out 2017 P5 for $500. I think is what he paid for, and he got a 06 Sportsman 500 that had sun damaged so bad, but it ran. We got him back off the trailer, and I was like, hey, let's see if this runs before I go home. It ran. Then Tuesday I picked up this Ranger. Wednesday I picked up an Arctic Cat 500 from another viewer. I was thinking about fixing it, and then got it home and realized I lost the gauge, the ignition, a couple of the gears, because the side cover was off of it, so a couple of the gears fell out and I lost those. And there was something else that, a bunch of stuff that shouldn't have fell off, but it was just gone. And then I feel like Thursday I was out doing something. No, Thursday I was here in the shop, and then Friday I was gone all day. No, Thursday I was gone all day buying that LTR because it's 8 hours round trip. Yesterday I just kind of hung out in the shop, did what we could get done. Jumpsuit Ascended said, hey ATV, it's unlikely you have any Honda line accessories for a 1984 ATC 125M for sale. No, and I'll be honest with you, I have a buddy of mine who, when I got started, he helped me out, sold me a bunch of units cheap. So anytime I get something that's like cool Honda line, three-wheeler or anything like that, he ends up with it. He's got a stash. He's got a stash over there of units. I mean, I know when we bought a bunch of stuff, and it was 2016. I bought a 26-foot trailer load, all the way loaded down. Toolbox full, the bed was full, everything in the cab was full except for what, me, my wife, and my kid. And I left stuff behind. He bought, I think it was 3. What are the yellow ones? Tri-Z's. And they've been sitting there for years. They ain't moved. He's got all sorts of cool ones. But he kind of gets all my special stuff like that. It's not real common that I get anything like that anyways. It used to, when I was doing buyouts and stuff, I'd get some stuff, but not anymore. Also, Tucker Geezy said, can you say your email again? Michael, Michael, at ibuyjunkatvs.com. If you might be able to go on YouTube, there's an about section and it has a contact. It should be on there. That's for like brands to be able to reach out and stuff. Jumpsuit Ascended said, that isn't a 7.3 International motor in there or a 6.0. It's a 7.3. I wasn't about to buy a 6.0. The 6.0 didn't come out till like 2003 and a half or something like that. I just have 6.0 swapped headlights and grill on here. OG Beastmaster said, that's a nice tip. I know, right? I've been wanting one to buy a tip, but I don't want to spend the money. And I was just browsing, saw it for $25. I was like, man, I'm gonna gamble with that. There's no 3.5-inch diesels. Also, Tucker Geezy said 7.3s are the best. So far, I love it. I love this truck. I mean, for me, I've had a lot of nicer, like I had a 17 with the 6.7 Power Stroke, and I had it was an 11 with the 6.7 Power Stroke. I love those trucks. But I don't want a car payment again. It's no fun paying $1,000 a month for something. And I picked this one up for $4,000. It's pretty clean. Like, it's dirty right now because I've been driving in the snow, and then Once you get in and out of there, those it's got the plastic floor mats, which is easy to clean, but it's a pain to clean at the same time. Saved a guy. You got any UTVs for sale? Said Brutal Parts. Jumpsuit Ascended. I thought I'd ask anyway, just in case. Parts are only getting harder to find for three-wheelers. Yeah, I mean, and there's a bunch of those sitting out rotting in people's yards, and most people don't know what a Honda line accessory is. I remember one of the units I sold him, I had picked up some three-wheeler, and it was junk to me. Like, I had zero interest in it. And I brought it to him. He's like, man, do you know you can't buy these? This is a Honda line accessory right here. I'm like, what is Honda line, bro? I don't know what that is. He goes, that was like Honda would back in the 80s. You know, they would advertise it and you could buy an aftermarket part for it. And yeah, so that's how I learned what I know with it. Not everybody knows, like, you know, those little metal surrounds on the headlights, those weren't factory. That's a Honda line accessory, stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know I know it's a 125. I don't know the difference between the 125M or 200C, or they got too many abbreviations. I really don't mess with those because they're so old and they're hard to sell. Jumpsuit Ascended said, we've had a harmonic balance go out in our 2000 F250 a couple years ago. Hopefully I don't have that issue. I was in there replacing my steering gear, and I found that I have a Jasper engine. There's a tag on it. So I called it. And the engine was replaced in this in, like, I think it was September of 2020. And I've heard a lot of bad things about Jasper at this point, but Sharen's great, so. I'm just gonna keep sending it. I mean, for $4 grand what I paid for it, I'm running it into the ground over the next few years and still sell it for a couple $1,000s for parts. OG Beastmaster said, I hear you, no car payment, no expensive insurance, great not to have that throwaway, no money. Yeah, we got 2 paid off cars. My wife has a 2016 Expedition. Insurance on the pair for full coverage is less than $200. And I keep full coverage. A lot of it's for me, because when I'm out buying stuff, coming home late, there's a lot of deer out here. If I clip a deer and total this thing, I'd rather have insurance pay it off, because insurance will pay me far more than I paid for it. Brutal Parts said he has 7 to 8 trikes on the lot. Swing by and take a look. Yeah, he's over in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Is that right, Brutal? Alred said, those older Power Strokes were good trucks. I'm driving a 2010 Tundra. No more car payments for me either. See, I tried to look at some of those Tundras, but man, they want too much money for them. That's astronomical amounts. And then they'll have, I'd find something with like 400,000 miles and they'd want 12 grand for it. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, at least with this, diesels, you know, they're known for being able to go high mileage. I've started to learn with these high mileage trucks, you can get a good deal. And I mean, they got typical truck problems. I had to replace an axle seal last. Had to put new rear rotors on it. I haven't had any major failures. Just mostly, I like to fix stuff when it starts to fail, so I'm not way out in the middle of nowhere and it breaks down on me. Brutal Parts said, yeah, he is in Rocky Mount, an hour east of Raleigh. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Jumpsuit Ascended said, I'm around New Orleans, Louisiana, so it's a bit of a drive. Dang it, who is it that I know that's over there? I know a guy over there who might have some three-wheeler stuff. Dylan Hayes on Facebook. If you look him up, he's all over Marketplace. I got your email, Tucker. Dang, guys, it's already been 80 minutes. What's that, an hour and 20? Whew. This gets away from me in here, talking to you guys. Oh, was that by that? New Orleans was by those Kubotas? New Orleans. I don't ever go down that far. I've been down to Baton Rouge, picked up a 2011 Sportsman 850, back when they were like 2 years old. I didn't know anything back then. Jumpsuit ascended. Wow, unexpected. Yeah, between me and Brutal Parts, we kind of got the whole East Coast covered. He goes everywhere just to buy stuff just like I do. So if y'all have a unit you need to sell and you're up that way, you're over that direction, y'all be sure to give them a shout. Does good business. All right, guys. Well, we've been on here for quite a while now, so I think I'm gonna log off and put my phone on the charger, and then knock out this stuff I need to get done on my truck, and probably do absolutely nothing for the rest of the day because it's snowing outside. Maybe pull a four-wheeler or the Ranger out and whip it a little bit. 32 hours in the truck round trip. Yeah, what was that you had to take for a round trip to? Oh no, because you flew in to buy all my parts. 16 hours home or something like that. All right, you guys, y'all take it easy. I'm gonna get those stickers shipped out on Monday. Appreciate everybody who tunes in, man. It's super cool that some of y'all still like to watch this stuff. Still blows my mind. People want to hear what I have to say. Take it easy, guys.